Okay, folks, get ready because today we're going deep, deep down into the world of Excel.
Uh-oh.
But don't worry, we're not tackling the whole thing, all the ins and outs.
Right.
We're just going to zero in on one specific function. This one might become like your new go-to tool.
Okay.
It's called selected value.
All right.
Ever feel like drowning in a sea of data?
Yeah.
You just need to grab like one precise piece of info?
Yeah.
That's where this comes in handy.
That's where selected value comes in.
Yeah, exactly. And to give everyone some background, this function, it's part of DAX.
Mm-hmm.
That's data analysis expressions. It's like Excel on steroids. You can do those really heavy calculations and analysis way beyond your basic formulas.
Yeah, it really is like taking Excel to a whole new level. It gives you so much more power and flexibility to work with your data.
Okay, so let's get specific. The definition we're working with that says that selected value, it only returns a value if there's one single distinct value after you filter everything.
Right.
Now, I admit that part kind of stumped me at first. Why has it got to be so picky? Why is having just one value so important?
That's a great question. And this is where the idea of context in DAX becomes really important. And, it's actually more connected to our everyday lives than you might think.
Okay.
Like, think about it. You're trying to find a book in a huge library. You wouldn't just wander around aimlessly, right? You'd use the library system, filters like genre, author, publication date to narrow things down.
Yeah.
DAX context. It's the same idea. It creates like a specific set of conditions or filters that selected value works within. It's like saying, hey, I only want the value that matches all of these specific things.
Oh, so it's all about like really targeted precision.
Yeah.
Like a heat-seeking missile for our data.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so let's break down how this function is actually written, the syntax.
Okay.
It takes a column name, which seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then there's this optional alternate result.
Right.
What's the deal with that second part?
So that alternate result, it's like our safety net. Let's say our filter is too broad. Like in that library example, you only narrowed it down to fiction. You're going to get tons of results.
Right. Hundreds.
Or maybe it's too narrow. Like you want a first edition signed by the author. That probably doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah.
So that ultimate result, it tells selected value what to do if that happens. It could return a blank, a specific message, or even another calculation.
So it's like having a backup plan just in case.
Exact. A backup plan for your data.
I like it. And speaking of different ways to do things, our source mentioned using the if function to get the same result.
Yeah.
But you're saying selected value is usually the better way to go.
It usually is, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, think of it like this. Both can get you where you need to go, but selected value, it's like the express train. Okay. It's made for this specific job. So it's usually faster, more efficient, less likely to have errors. That if function, it's flexible, but it can be like taking the local train with all the stops.
Oh, okay.
It gets there eventually, but it might take a longer, more roundabout way.
So selected value is our streamlined solution.
I got it. Streamlined and efficient.
Perfect. Now, our source also mentions that this function isn't like a magic wand. It's got limitations in some situations, like in direct query mode and calculated columns.
Right.
Can you explain what those are?
Of course. So direct query mode, imagine that like ordering takeout. You're getting data directly from somewhere else, like a database outside of Excel. You don't have a local copy.
Okay.
Calculated columns are more like cooking at home. You're using the data that's already in your Excel sheet and making a new column based on calculations you define.
Got it.
Selected value. It has some limitations in these situations because of how Excel handles the data in those cases.
Okay, so even our superstar function has to follow the rules sometimes.
Even superstars have rules.
Fair enough. But let's make this practical for our listeners. Let's see it in action. Say we're looking at sales data, and we want to find the total sales for a specific product on a specific date.
Okay.
How does selected value help us do that?
All right, so imagine a table with columns for date, product, and sales. You could write a DAX formula using selected value to get that sales number, only if you've selected a single date and a single product in your filters.
Yeah.
It's like saying, show me the sales for just this product on just this date and nothing else. So you know you're not getting a sum of multiple things.
Oh, I see. So it's like a laser pointer highlighting the exact data point we need out of all that information. That's pretty impressive.
It is. It really pinpoints what you need. And what's even more interesting is that the same logic, it can apply to more than just numbers.
Oh, really?
It's not just limited to numerical data.
That's a great point.
Okay.
So to sum it all up, we've been talking about selected value. It's a DAX function in Excel that helps us pull out very specific data points based on the filters we set.
Exactly. And we covered how it's written, its strengths, and even those limitations.
Right. We did the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And the main takeaway.
The main takeaway is that just like those filters we use in our everyday lives, selected value helps us make sense of all that data and find those hidden gems of information.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So okay, everyone, here's a final thought for you. How else could we use selected value with other types of data, like text or dates? Could you use it to find a specific customer comment on a certain date? Or pinpoint a project milestone that happened within a certain time frame? Think about that as you continue your Excel adventures. And then until next time, happy analyzing.
Happy analyzing, everyone.